Hey guys, Jimmy Mahalik here. In this video, we're going to go over how to become an Amazon seller if you don't live in the US, how to set everything up the correct way, and this video will definitely help you. So, Amazon allows over 130 different countries that are able to sell on Amazon and Amazon.com in the US. So, you can sell on Amazon.com in the US even if you don't live in the United States. And I would say some of the bigger countries are Australia, Canada, the United Kingdom, and China. But of course, there's this entire list on here, and you can kind of look through here and see if your country's on here, which would mean you're allowed to sell on Amazon. And I have sellers from all these main countries in my Amazon FBA program and mentorship program. And those are the most common ones: Australia, Canada, UK, and China. But of course, if you're anywhere on the list, you can not only sell on Amazon.com for the USA market, but also the additional Amazons.coms in the different countries, such as Amazon UK or Amazon Australia. And at the end of this video, if you're really serious about becoming an Amazon seller, I'm going to give you a couple tips at the end of this video that will really help you out. Okay, and there's a couple of things you're going to need when you go to set up your Amazon account. So number one, you're going to need a internationally chargeable credit card, okay? Now, you can use a debit card, but I don't recommend it because if your payments to Amazon, when I say payments, so Amazon has a $39.99 professional seller plan that you're going to need once you start selling. You can set up your account under the non-professional plan, which is $0 a month, and then once you're actually ready to start selling products, then you can switch it to the professional plan. But when you do have the professional plan, they're going to charge this fee to your credit card, and if it ever gets declined, then they can shut your account down until you fix the problem and maybe have to verify with them and stuff like that. So I recommend to all my students that you use a credit card, not a debit card, because if it bounces, if the charge doesn't go through, you don't want to have your whole Amazon account get suspended just because of that one thing. You want to make sure it actually can charge and go through. Number two is you're going to need a verified phone number so that Amazon can call you and or text you during the verification phase, where they're going to verify your identity and where you live and all this stuff at the beginning. And that's kind of a tricky part, the whole verification step. I have a whole entire section about it in my Amazon FBA course that kind of helps everybody, because if you do it wrong, you can kind of get hung up and take a long time to get your account verified. I've heard of people that took weeks or months to get it right, or even didn't get it right at all because they did it wrong to begin with. And there's really too much information to go over that here in this video. The other reason why you'll need a phone number is when you log in, you're going to want to enable, or I think it might even be enabled automatically, two-step verification, so that if somebody else outside of your normal location tries to sign into your Amazon account, somehow they got your password or something like that, it'll block them because they'll need a text code verification, which will be sent to your phone. So you're going to need a phone for both of those reasons. So, as I said, they're going to go through a verification process. So, what you're going to need is you're going to need a copy of your passport or driver's license. Probably passport is more preferable. You're going to need documents stating that you live at that address that you set up your account with, okay? So, you're going to need like utility bills, electric bills, stuff like that. If you don't have that, you want to kind of think this stuff out ahead of time, because Amazon will ask you for it. Years ago, when I set up my first Amazon account, this wasn't a thing. They didn't ask you for all this stuff, and now they do. And like I said, it can be tricky. So you kind of want to have verification and documents, ID, with the address that you're setting up your Amazon account with, because if the address and name and all this stuff doesn't match, then you won't get your account approved until you get them the right documents. Okay, another big tip I want to give you guys. This is a huge tip, actually. Amazon doesn't like it if you change the information on your account once it's set up, even if you change your bank account or your credit card. So I have literally seen people that went to change their credit card and Amazon system thinks it's fraudulent or something suspicious about the account, and they suspend the whole Amazon account because of something simple like an address change, a bank account change, or a credit card number change. So with you watching this video and knowing this stuff ahead of time, use a credit card that's not going to expire anytime soon. Use a credit card that isn't, $20 from its limit, and, use an address, your address that, has these documents you can use, and try to keep that for the long haul. Just because you can change this stuff, but it also can be tricky and can trigger their system to shut it down. I know it's kind of stupid, but honestly, I feel like all the big places to do business with, like Facebook, Google, and Amazon, they all kind of have these systems in place now. So even though it sounds stupid, they have these systems in place to kind of prevent fraud and prevent suspicious activity. And sometimes you'll have to jump over an extra hurdle or two if you have to change this kind of information. Okay, and the next thing you're going to need is a bank account. And if you're preparing for this ahead of time, you might want to look into what bank accounts are best for currency transfer, because you're going to pay an exchange rate when you sell on Amazon.com, because that's US dollars and it gets transferred to your bank account. And whatever your monetary currency is in your country, you're going to pay an exchange rate. So you might want to look at that ahead of time before you set up your account. The next thing is you might want to think about is to set up a corporation, or here in the US, a lot of people set up LLCs. And you might want to do that, and it depends on your country and how much they're beneficial to you and how much they cost. I have another video on setting up an LLC that I'll link to you here below in the description, and at the end of the video, you can watch that when this video is done. But what I recommend is you set up an LLC in your country. You don't really want to set up an LLC or a corporation in the United States if you're from Canada or United Kingdom or whatever country you're from. It's probably better for you to set up a corporation in that country and use it there. Okay, so because if you set up a corporation in the United States, you're going to have to pay taxes in the US most likely, and then have it transferred over to your account in your country. So I recommend to international sellers to set up an Amazon account in your country. And if you're using an LLC or a corporation, set that up in your country. It'll probably be a lot easier for you. So the next thing to talk about is taxes. So when you're setting up your account, there's going to be a couple tax questions for you. And if you're living in the US, you're going to check off that you want a W-9, which means you're in the US. But if you're living internationally, you're going to check off and possibly file a form to Amazon, which is called the W-8 Ben. And so as you can see here, the W-8 Ben on the IRS's website, this W-8 Ben is for people who live internationally, but they're selling in the US, which is Amazon.com, and selling in the USA. And what this form is doing is it's saying to the US government, the US IRS, that yes, you're selling in the US and you sold these goods in the US, but you're going to be paying the taxes on them in your country, the country that you live in. And the next thing is sales taxes. So if you sell in the USA, there's state sales tax based on every different state has a different rate of sales tax. Now, it used to be that Amazon didn't collect state sales tax, and a lot of sellers were really worried about this, and some of the people made a huge mistake of filing for a state sales tax license in like 50 states, and it cost them thousands of dollars and tons and tons of hours of time, because they had to file all these sales tax reports in every state and all this stuff and blah blah blah. It was a nightmare. Okay, but now, and over the past 12 to 18 months and even going forward, Amazon is collecting the state sales tax for over 90% of the states now. And as this goes forward, it will be for every single state in the USA. So you don't have to collect sales tax. Amazon now does it for you automatically. And if you were listening to old information, then you may have done something wrong. And that's important to have up-to-date information. So you don't really need to file for sales tax. Amazon.com automatically collects it for every single state when you sell a good in any random state in the USA. A lot of people on Amazon make several mistakes along the way, and it really eats up their profit a lot. So, even there's been a lot of people I know that have set up their Amazon account the wrong way and they never could get it verified, or it cost them weeks or months of time trying to get it verified because they didn't do it the right way. And that's where, my Amazon FBA program and course and mentorship program can really help you out along the way, because a lot of stuff you can't learn on YouTube. You wouldn't even know to think to ask about it. There's so many things that happen along the way of selling that if you don't know about them ahead of time, they could really trip you up and either A, cost you a lot of time, or B, cost you a lot of money. And so if all this stuff sounds a little bit of confusing, that's because there's a lot of steps to selling on Amazon, getting your account set up and doing everything the correct way. And if you want to have like guidance and mentorship on this whole process from selling from A to Z, I recommend you take my Amazon FBA free training. I'll link to it down below. It'll tell you more about my program and mentorship program where I help Amazon sellers just like you. I just had a success story where one of my students is making on pace to make $500,000 in sales this year. He's making about $40,000 a month. So, I help out all my students. I respond to them every single day. So I recommend you watch my Amazon FBA free training. I will link that down below in the description and also over here on the screen. And if you have any questions, ask me down below in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.